Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this impromptu session about talking about brands vetted, that sort of a thing. I'm gonna get right into it because I'm putting this on my feed. I know how annoying it is for taking forever to start. Okay, so people can just hop on as they come. Feel free to post any specific brands you're curious about in the comments, and I'll put this on my feed to save for later for people. So I just realized there were a lot of brands that I'd spent a lot of time vetting and deciding not to do, or just haven't partnered with yet. So I just haven't talked about them on here because I haven't tried their products yet. But I just wanted to throw out some of the research I've done on various companies. I think I'm gonna go over about 5 or 6 I've got on my list, at least, that I wanna talk about. So the first one is Tubby Todd. That's one I get a lot because they have a lot of kid products, that sort of a thing. So I would say overall, after researching them, I do not trust them and I don't recommend them. So first of all, they took forever to respond. They do not require and they don't get COAs from their raw material suppliers. That is super weird. The more companies that I talk to, that's like standard. That's standard practice. Like you're not even legitimate if you're not doing that. So they were saying that they just now were starting to get in order some of those things. Don't mind my toddlers. Your light's not off yet. Go play. Okay, saying poor connection. Oh dear. So anyway, hopefully this is still working. Okay, so anyway, they said that they're doing MSDS. They were just starting to get that in order, but they weren't requiring COAs. That is very strange. A COA is going to be showing more than an MSDS. That is a big no to me right there. I mean, I'm just you don't even know what you're doing and you're not even legitimate if you're not requiring basic testing and information from your vendors on your raw ingredients. I also asked if they specifically do any heavy metal testing and or third-party testing, which they do not. Also super concerning and weird for a clean beauty brand to not be doing. I know there's various things I've heard from different companies about when they do heavy metal testing, but they said heavy metal testing is not even in the regimen of what they do. So that's weird. I asked a lot of questions about essential oils that they use. I understand that, who they source from is proprietary most of the time, especially for bigger companies, which is fine. But they were not even willing to tell me if the companies were doing basic GCMS testing, who they source from, do basic GCMS testing. That's super sketch. They didn't give me any information. They just said, yes, we can assure you it's pure and high quality oils. That's all they said. That's just a big cover up BS answer. They also don't disclose all of their fragrances. Again, for those jumping on here, we're talking about Tubby Todd. They don't disclose all their fragrances and all their products. Some of their products say fragrance on the ingredient label. Sometimes I have different posts on this. Sometimes I think that's okay and I'm comfortable with it. However, none of those were in check here. I would be concerned. Basically, I asked them just, why don't you disclose it? I always ask that for every company who has that. And doesn't disclose fragrance, and their answer was just basically, we don't have to by law, so we're not going to. It wasn't even the half BS answer of this well, it's proprietary, we just don't want our special recipe to be taken. No, it was just we don't have to. That's it. I'm okay. They don't have any kind of ISO certifications or anything to back up whatsoever. There are some, like that ISO certification, to back up that it is 100% natural and not synthetic. So the fact that they're not disclosing it and they're not even giving me a good answer on it, I'm already just nope, I don't trust you. They're also not, they don't make everything in-house. They have other manufacturers that make some stuff. That's not always a big red flag, but combined with all these other things, it very much concerns me. So overall, Tubby Todd is a no from me, definitely concerning. Okay, so the next one is Ruth Organics. This is a supplements brand. I got the privilege of talking to, it's technically Mary Ruth's mother who I spoke with, but she and the mom kind of started the company together. So I was able to talk with her for about an hour or so. She is a very direct person. I was mainly concerned about them because of something I saw that came up on Consumer Labs. They're a third-party lab that tests several brands, and there was a contaminated probiotic blend from them that came back with a certain amount of yeast, or a foreign type of yeast, or some sort of bacteria that was found in it. I forget the exact strain. So I was obviously concerned about that and wanted to get more information on it. According to the Consumer Labs website, their process of what they go through to, you know, work with the company, because they reached out to them, they posted it. We found this contamination of this bacteria inside your probiotic. They, Mary Ruth, contacted them back and said, here is our batch sample. They are doing their due diligence and saving each batch, a sample from each batch. That's pretty standard as well, by the way, for companies to do. I've heard that a lot. They saved that information. They sent it to them of the exact same batch number, lot number, and said, we're not seeing that. Maybe there's something wrong. Maybe there's some sort of contamination. The next step in the process after they did that, obviously, because that's at an impasse, would be, according to Consumer Labs, would be to decide on a different third-party lab, that they both agree on, to then send one of their, the product to them to have them test it to see what happens. So according to the Consumer Labs report, it still hasn't been updated since then. After I talked with Mary Ruth Organics, they said that according to the Consumer Labs policy, it would be the exact same lot, like that exact same batch that they had tested. It wasn't a new batch. So they didn't want to do that because they felt that was unfair, since it was the exact same one they'd already opened then, and it time had passed, so it's the exact same bottle they'd opened then, and she's like, it's not, the shelf life's already messed up on it. You've already opened it, the label, that's not very fair. We would have to be a new bottle, we'll send a bottle to the lab, or whatever, to get it tested. And Consumer Labs threw that out and said, no, it has to be this exact same one. So I understand, to me, that makes a lot of sense. I just feel like that's not very fair of Consumer Labs at that point. Mary Ruth Organics did end up sending me COAs of the last 3 months of that particular product. And they were very transparent in talking about that. So I feel, just personally, after talking with her and after seeing the COAs myself, I personally feel that they are doing their due diligence and testings and everything necessary to ensure that it is pure. I think that was a one-off thing. And even then, I don't condemn companies when they have a one-off thing like that. I much more, prefer them to handle it the right way. So the fact that they were in direct communication with Consumer Labs and really tried to work it out, and were doing everything, and they were testing so many things additional on their end, and being extra careful to make sure. So I personally don't have an issue with that. Here's the only thing I think with that company that I'm still trying to work out. I did straight up ask them, because they're a supplements company. I did ask them how much of their, not ingredients, so their vitamins and whatnot, minerals, are synthetically derived versus whole food or plant derived. And they did say that the majority of their, everything was derived synthetically and not from whole food and plants. So that, for me right there, just from the research I've done, she seemed very confident that it still was very bioavailable to the body, especially since they have the whole thing, their whole, spiel is liquids instead of that, instead of a pill form. So yeah, that's the only hesitation I have, just because I haven't done a whole lot of in-depth research, so I can't say definitively, but from what I have done, I've found that typically something derived from whole foods and plants is going to be superior to something synthetically derived, as far as our body using it, knowing what to do with it, getting the most out of it, that sort of a thing. So I would have to say that that's the only thing that keeps me from 100% recommending them and moving forward and doing some sort of a collaboration. In a minute, buddy. So yeah, that'd be my only hesitation with them. But if you've done more research on this, there's the information. You decide, if you're comfortable with that, great. And you move forward, how you want with them. So another company that I'm not 100% on yet, but I just wanted to give an update on, is Mig Living, because that's one that I get a lot of questions about. The difficulty with this brand is that they're an MLM. So it's really hard to talk to reps and get the information that I'm looking for. As I just found yesterday, I ended up, getting the opportunity to talk to the CEO of Pure Haven, which is another MLM company. It's very hard to get the information from the reps, just because it's not things that they get trained on. I don't think that really is reflecting of the company at all. It's just that, that's kind of how it is. You're not being trained on what manufacturing processes they have. So anyway, real life moment. Toddlers. Hello, I'm doing a video right now. You're supposed to be up in your room playing. Can you please go for just a second? I'm almost done. If you're gonna sit here, you have to be quiet. Okay. Child.
But the blue light,
Yeah, it's not purple yet.
changes.
No, it didn't change. It's not time to get out yet.
But
No.
it's not blue.
No, it's not blue anymore. Can you please go back up?
Okay.
Okay, fun. This is the only thing with doing a live. I can't pause it and cut out all this stuff.
All
All right, we'll start a show in just a minute, but you have to let mommy finish the video. Okay, all right, bye-bye. Okay, so, Mig Living. So here's the thing with them of where I'm at. I originally sent an email to them, hey, you know, I'm just trying to research a couple things, looking to speak with someone who's knowledgeable. They sent me back a very generic message that said, you know, hi, yes, I can assure you that we're doing all of our, you know, we're doing all the due diligence. Everything is safe, everything is high quality. A lot of things are organic, a lot of things are wild crafted. So I can assure you that what we're doing is, you know, very in line with what you're saying. So they answered a couple of the questions. I typically send close to like 10, somewhere between 10 and 15 questions. So I responded with, great, you know, that answers about half my questions. You know, I have some additional ones that you didn't say anything about your essential oils. I understand why you can't share the supplier, but I want to just know that they're doing, the supplier who you're, you know, sourcing from is doing what they're supposed to be doing, i.e. GCMS testing, each batch that they, you know, give you, that you buy from them, that sort of a thing. So I came back with additional questions to press them further. And they basically just said, we're glad that you're interested in our products, but I'm sorry, we can't help you anymore. We're unable to answer the rest of your questions. So they were pretty basic, just testing questions. I wasn't asking for proprietary information. And I now have the background too of being able to say, hey, I've literally asked about 50 companies this exact question, and none of them have given me an issue. Everyone has answered this perfectly fine. So typically, especially like with this MLM, you know, I kind of just reached out to whatever their basic product testing, customer service information was. They normally just email me to someone else and will say like, these people might be able to help you, and then I'll get in touch with someone that way. So the fact that they didn't even try to transfer me, it was just, I'm sorry, we're unable to answer these questions. This is all proprietary. We're not even gonna tell you what testing we're doing. So that was just a huge red flag to me. For as many people who have said they are transparent as they are, I have not found that to be the case whatsoever. And it very much concerns me that they're unwilling to answer basic information that other companies, even MLM companies, have had no issue whatsoever answering. So I would say as of right now, I would love to talk with them further. But because another thing that I also already have a red flag about with them is that they don't have any kind of third-party certifications, to my knowledge, that I remember, backing up any of the claims that they're making. That's also another thing. If they were like Made Safe certified and this was happening, I would really not be concerned. And I'd just be like, well, you're just being, you know, you're just deciding like, oh, it's not worth talking to this person, you know, kind of a thing. Because I did say that to them too, you know, hey, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to like tell people who ask me until I get more of a transparent answer from you guys that I don't trust you in the, you know, meantime. And I never got a response from them, and that was like months ago. So I've tried reaching out to them 2 other ways, like via different channels and different reps since then, and I still haven't gotten any kind of an answer. So anyway, yeah, if they had any kind of in-depth certification that, you know, like Made Safe, that went over a lot of manufacturing processes and like covered that, I really wouldn't feel, I wouldn't feel as like worried about it, you know. So that in combination just really worries me. I'd be very cautious with that brand if I were you, especially since they don't have any heavy preservatives. That was one of the main things, much like Pure Haven, that I was asking about, is what kind of manufacturing processes do you have, because you have to be extra careful when you don't have that to fall back on. So okay, another one is Brook Cosmetics. I don't know if this is a brand you guys have heard of before, but this is one that I did, was also kind of similar. They gave me that kind of roundabout answer in the very beginning, kind of like Mig Living, but they did transfer me to somebody, and I was able to get a pretty extensive, thorough email from one of the top, I forget who it was, it may have been the CEO, I think it was the CEO or the COO. It's typically who I end up talking with in most companies, is the CEO or the COO. So yeah, they ended up giving me more information. There were a few claims they made on their site, especially they were like, one of the ones I saw that they had products in China, but they claimed to be cruelty free, but China actually requires animal testing. that's why a lot of clean companies don't sell there, because they require animal testing. That's something I was asking about. I had a lot of back and forth exchanges with them. All in all, I do think that they're safe. I think there's better companies out there, but like I would feel comfortable if someone was using them, you know, like I wouldn't be like, oh, you need to switch, I don't trust them, you know. I would say that they are doing their due diligence, they are doing a lot of testing, and I did appreciate that when I did get in touch with the right people at that point, that he was very transparent about various testings they were doing and just making sure and clearing up some of the questions that I had. So all in all, I'd say Lauren Brook Cosmetics is good. One that I am happy to report that I was skeptical of, because they don't list they have fragrance written on it, but they're kind of known for being like, you know, they're supposed to be super natural and hippie, is Dr. Squatch. I've gotten a lot of questions about Dr. Squatch for men's products, and I am happy to say that I think that they are good. I did a couple emails back and forth with them, and the main thing with them that made me feel comfortable, again, you can do your own research and decide, but I felt comfortable, even though their fragrances are like not disclosed, they do keep that information proprietary. They follow the ISO certification, I think it's 9235, that's an outside third party certification that proves that there is no synthetics whatsoever, and that it would be only essential oils, naturally derived ingredients forming that fragrance. So it is a certification that I do love when companies have that, because I feel like it's a very, very thorough. Mostly ISO certifications are typically for manufacturers. So I really like that was something that they had, and it showed me right there just that they are doing, you know, they are getting correct certifications, ones that are legitimate, that really would prove that their ingredients are pure. So I'd say Dr. Squatch is good. Really happy to say. I want to do a collaboration with them. I just haven't gotten back in touch with them yet, but I would really like to. I think that was all the main brands I wanted to cover. So if you guys had any other ones, feel free to ask, but I think those were the only ones that I had that I wanted to cover today. I will say the Pure Haven conversation that I had yesterday, that's looking really good. I just want to hear back about essential oils. I'm just kind of waiting on that one question. That was the one thing the CEO didn't know. So that's kind of all I'm waiting on. So yeah, that was it. That's all I had to cover. Thank you so much. I will be doing a video soon about how I vet brands, and more about that process and like what it means when I say that something is like Clean Living Mom meets the Clean Living Mom criteria. I'm going to be doing a video on that and tips for you to make it more, break it down and be a little easier on how to vet brands, and not just looking at ingredients, but also some of this other information, certifications that I trust, that sort of a thing. So yeah, thanks so much, guys.